I was aiming for a first class, but I didn't think it was possible. People that are actually best students might not necessarily be the smartest. So I took my CA seriously and I actually mapped it out. Before every semester, or once I enter uni every semester, I would literally draw a table, write my course title, my course code, what I want my CA to be, what I want my exam to be, what is the total, the grade, A, the unit 5, then I'll calculate and write 5.0 for me. I was reading to understand the exact concept. That way I can answer any question.
What exactly did you do differently that made you graduate to a first class? And also, how did you read to get the first class? I'm super excited to be on another edition of the Flourishing Students Podcast today. My name is Gift Adedoyin. I will be your host as always. And I have on set today my beautiful guest, Miss Tomiloba. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Super excited to meet you finally.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So we'll go right into the podcast. The Flourishing Students Podcast is just a medium where we encourage students, where we teach, where we give practical steps on how they can actually make the best use of their life in tertiary institution and also prepare for the outside world. And I know that you are someone who God has helped. God helped as a student, and of course God is helping now. We want to hear from you, we want to learn from you. So can you please tell us about yourself? What do you do now, and how was your journey into becoming a first class student? Just like a brief introduction.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for having me. My name is Tomiloba Comfort Aremu. I am currently an executive assistant by day and a content creator by night. The journey into getting first class was a little easy for me, and that's like the truth. It was a little easy for me because I had my eyes set on it in the beginning.
Okay.
I had a lot of help. I also knew ways by which I could get the grades that I wanted. And then I was also surrounded with community that helps me be consistent in the efforts that I put in to get that result. So it was tough. Yes, it was tough. But it was also really, really easy for me. Thankfully, I knew the way my grades were calculated. That's another thing I think that students don't know. I knew how to calculate my CGPA. I knew how to even calculate what my courses would give me, so that I then knew what I was working towards. I knew how to even maybe intensify efforts when my CA is lagging, or just keep the momentum going so I don't crash in particular seasons. So it was I was armed with the right knowledge, which in hindsight I didn't even know that I had. It was just things that I had learned from being in my home, with my parents, or even from my secondary school, because it was really, really competitive there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So you had all of this information before you got into school. So did you get into school aiming for a first class? Was it very clear that I'm here to get the first class, or it just happened along the way?
I was aiming for a first class, but I didn't think it was possible. I was aiming for it. It was a thing of, my brother, nice. My brother did not get a first class. It was good to be my parents' first class graduate. But I've heard that it's tough, so I wasn't quite sure I could get it. But I wanted to see if it was possible.
Let's just give it a shot.
Yes, and some of this knowledge that I had, I got them during my orientation week. So my school had done 1 week of intensive orientation of what your courses are like, of how to calculate your CGPA, of how your lecturers even calculate your CA. So even some of this knowledge that you say I had before entering uni, I had them in my first week. Yes,
it was reinforced in the first week because of the provision that the school had. So for students that are in schools that do not have these provisions, what mediums do you think they can actually... Are these informations available online? Is it readily available? Do you think it's readily available to us? Because someone like me, I'm not sure I had all of this knowledge in my the first semester getting into school. I feel like we just caught up with it during the semester. In fact, when I was doing my MSc program, I did not know that my school's A is 80. It was until 2 semesters, MSc level. So it's possible this information is actually not accessible to students. So how do you think students can actually get all of this information?
Okay, so I think that there are 2 ways to approach this. One is in the case where it's not accessible, and then 2 is in the case where it's accessible and the students do not know. Because there are schools that will have orientation week and students will not go.
So they don't take it serious.
In fact, students will never have resumed then because they think
there's nothing is going on yet. Let's just chill and wait.
So for students who do not take it seriously, I think that they should begin to take it seriously. Orientation was designed for a reason. There's a reason why your uni puts it in place. Same thing with, there's a reason why your uni chose a course to be studied. But as for students who don't have access to it at all, right, I think that my next best bet would be to speak to their seniors. We understand that there's no seniority in university, but please speak to somebody ahead of you who has gone ahead. If the person is really kind, they will not want you to make the same mistake as they have made. If the person is never really kind, the information that they will give you is enough to harm you. And students sometimes even fear their lecturers. And if they've not given you reasons to, you can ask your lecturers, Sama, how do I do particular thing?
What does it take to have an A in this
Yes,
course?
because I have even noticed that lecturers appreciate those kind of students. I made a video about it recently about how people that are actually best students might not necessarily be the smartest. There's just people who were constantly visible to your lecturer. So if you're visible, they see that you're actually interested and they want to actually help you achieve that goal too. So yes, lecturers, seniors, library too. Library has it. Speak to your librarian. My librarian is like, in fact, do you know the library have past questions? Library stores past questions in most private universities. You can ask them.
I feel like it should not even just be private university. In hindsight now, I think that's... So when we were trying to say, okay, what does this course look like? It's probably accessible in the library, but we did not know.
Yeah, speak to the librarian. Speak to your faculty officer. So many people that you can speak to that can just help you achieve that. So yeah.
All right, thank you. So you mentioned that you wanted to graduate with a first class, but you did not think it was possible. So what exactly did you do differently? At what point, like, did you now begin to think, okay, this thing is possible? What exactly did you do differently that made you graduate with a first class? And also, I'll give a follow-up question. Can you walk us through your study routine? How did you read to get the first class? Or it just happened? Of course, it didn't just happen. How did you read to get the first class?
Okay, so the moment that changed it for me and made me see that it was possible was my first semester result. It came back a perfect CGPA, a perfect GPA. It was a 5.0. Okay. And so I was like, okay, then it means that it's possible. Like, all I need to do. In fact, I now stopped wanting a first class. I wanted BGS.
Best guy. Oh, so
I'm like, I don't want BGS for my department. I want BGS for the entire
school.
Yes.
Let's
it is possible. So that was the pivotal moment when I saw that it was possible. And then it was not even only me. I had a roommate at the time. She's my friend and sister, and she had like a 4.8 or 9. And even our own course combination was different from mine. So I knew that if you put in consistent effort, it is possible. That was what changed the entire thing for me. Like, okay, then it means I can just keep on doing this. But the way that I read first is I took my CA seriously. I took my CA seriously and I actually mapped it out. Before every semester, or once I enter uni every semester, I would literally draw a table, write my course title, my course code, what I want my CA to be, what I want my exam to be, what is the total, the grade A, the unit 5. Then I'll calculate it and write 5.0 and write, Lord help me. Right? So I knew that my CA was important. So I had a set goal for my CA. So I wasn't taking it lightly. My test, my assignments, my attendance for like private uni, I took those things seriously. That's like one major thing I was studying. I think another thing that I did was I read in groups.
Okay.
I read in groups.
You had groups of people that also had similar mindsets too.
Yes, that my first roommate was my reading partner for like the 4 years I was in uni. She was really pivotal to it because she was studying nursing, so our own stakes were higher. So I tagged along somebody that I knew that they needed to. So when I entered the room and she's reading, I'm like, oh, let me
Let me carry my book.
Yes. So the way that was another way that I studied. Another way that I studied was with past questions. Students undermine that. But when you see a lecturer's pattern of questions, you know the things that they can ask you.
Yes.
So I was using past questions. That changed the game for me. Another thing that was happening was that I was the way I studied was by understanding. Students try to
read to know.
Yeah, not to even read to cram.
Exactly, read to cram. Just put it on the head and
that was a pivotal thing for me. I was reading to understand the exact concept. That way I can answer any question. And even for life after uni, if you ask me what spatial interaction is today, I'll tell you what it is because I learned it. Do you understand? And then I think another thing what I did was accumulated reading.
Okay.
For most of my courses, I wasn't opening them the night before my exam.
Exactly.
I was sitting in lecture halls.
After classes?
Yes. I was sitting in lecture halls on some days, for example. Psychology 101. I kind of know my notes offered by heart because I had
you
read it
back
every.
to back to
Yes,
back.
this is what psychology means. This is what clinical. So when I even see particular people act particular way, I understand that psychology has said in like the 5 rules that you cannot judge people based on what you know. You judge them based on the context of their upbringing. So those things I had done accumulated reading. I was reading after classes, reading for tests, reading for assignments. So that by the time it was exam, there was a
So it's just
cumulative.
like
Yes.
You already know it. You've been reading it. You are used to your notes.
Yes.
You know what is in your note exactly.
Yes.
So you're just reading and catching up.
Yes,
basically.
Another thing that I did was actually like tutorials. The more I taught people, the more I understood for myself.
Yeah.
So I was actually like doing tutorials either for my course mates in my first year, or even then I had a study partner. And God's so faithful. This person went from like a 3.5 to like a 4 point something.
Because you were reading together.
Yes, because we were reading together, because we were understanding, because we were teaching each other, right? There's a way that when you are trying to teach somebody, it resonates much. Yes.
And even when you need to write exams, you would remember, even if you don't remember how you were reading, you would remember how you were explaining, because you were putting it in your own words, according to your understanding.
Yes, and then I think that even also is what people do with like the Bible. Yes. When you preach an imaginary audience. Yeah, I think another thing that I also did was test myself. So before I entered exam hall, I would write either the past questions or questions that I think I don't
think I've heard this before.
Oh, okay.
I'm on my 3rd degree. I don't think I've heard this before.
So you
write down questions,
yes,
and you answer them.
And I close my book.
Oh,
and then I answer them like
not past questions. Oh,
sometimes it's my own questions. Wow. I will write them down. 1A, 1B.
Just like the lecturer would say.
Yes, and then I will close my books and then I will answer them on my own. Where I see that there's like gaps, I would like try to, yes. And then it also helped me even with like time management too. So I knew that I could not spend 4 hours answering the question, because when it is time, test is
just 2 minutes. You have
your exams are not only testing your intelligence, they're also testing like your time management. So like those are some of the things that I did that could just help me. And the craziest part is that I didn't even know I was in these things. It's nice that I am saying like you were a little smart though, but like I didn't know. I was trying to like do the best possible thing and just make my parents proud. Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you very much. So you've said a lot of things. You read in groups. You used past questions. You had a goal. You've approached it with intentionality, because of course you knew that you broke it down into actionable steps. Thank you very much. So was there any time at all when you didn't feel like reading? Yes, 5.0 in the first semester. Second semester, was there any time at all when you didn't feel like reading, and how did you handle those times when you are not feeling it? How did you handle it?
I think I do not feel like reading for like my entire 4 years. in fact, my course mates and my friends will always wonder how I was able to get my CGPA, because they're like, how did that happen? Because I was barely reading. I would just listen in class, skim through here and there, and but like for most of the time that I did not feel like reading, I understood that I could not live my life based on feelings or vibes.
Yes.
If I constantly lived life based on how I feel regarding things, you will not do most things. And your feelings are even very fickle, because they are hormone based, or they are
today, the next time.
Yeah, so like it
so you can't depend on.
Yeah, it'd be weird to build an entire life or existence on what you feel, right? So for me, it was understanding what was at stake. I knew that every single time that I did not spend reading, I was reading off my CGPA or the possibility of it.
Of that first class or that best graduating student.
Yes, so I knew what was at stake. I also knew how much my parents were paying for school fees.
That's an important one.
I knew how much my parents were paying for school fees. I couldn't afford
to fail.
Yes, so in times that I did not feel like reading, I knew what was at stake. I also kind of spoke to people about it. So in days like that, I would call my parents and just mention it. But my father would say, Mama fairly. He gave me the push to go back. Yes, he gave me the push to go back. So in terms that I did not feel like reading, I understood that I could not build my flesh on it, and I knew what was.
You just needed to keep going. Thank you very much. So was there a cost to graduating with a first class? Maybe you had to leave like association. Was there a cost to it? And how did you manage overwhelm or burnout? Did you experience overwhelm? How did you manage it?
Okay. I'll start from back to forward. Yeah. How did I manage overwhelm? I don't think many people know about me cry baby.
Okay. So you just cry it out.
I literally would just go to prayer, to the place of prayer, and begin to worship and begin to just lay every single thing down. I'll cry it and I'll move on. And that's the thing about me. When I cry about something, it's easier to let it go. So I was crying a lot. But beyond that, I was speaking to God about it. Right? Because you are the one that brought me here. And there's nobody else that can help me.
Far.
Yeah, there's nobody else that can help me if it's not you. So I was speaking to God about it. And then I think I was also like resting. Whenever I'm tired, I will sleep. I will literally
eat and sleep.
I will eat and sleep. I will eat. Like, there was a particular time that my lecturer, my supervisor, was stressing me out. My mom literally called me and said, Tomiloba, I bought food and slept.
Go and sleep.
When I woke up,
you
go again. Yeah. And then
that.
I had like things I was doing. I'm in Nollywood soccer, like I'm in soccer for it. So I would just watch like an entire YouTube video or YouTube film. It doesn't make sense, but it made me feel okay.
At least you're relaxed, and then you're able to tackle whatever it is.
So I would go again. Then for things that it cost me, I think it cost me things that kind of don't even add to me, because I knew what my priority was
at that time.
Yeah. So if somebody that maybe they wanted to be a jai person, somebody wanted a particular kind of life, social life, said, oh, I got the first car and it cost me that, okay. But for me, it didn't appeal to me. So it didn't really cost me like that.
You knew what was important during that time.
Yes, if anything that it cost me, it would be maybe time to even pursue personal interests. Okay. Yes, time to pursue personal interests. I would have liked to maybe take on some skills in uni. Maybe even just learn how to play the guitar. I still don't know how to play the guitar. And I really want to. So it cost me personal time to do some of those things. Yes, to learn some of the things that matter to me. It also cost me some friendships. Yeah, it cost me some friendships, which in hindsight, it was good for me. But wasn't also...
It could have been better managed.
Yeah, it could have been better managed. And there could have been some friendships that would have blossomed into something. Because my first class spirit thing was also very competitive. So I wasn't collaborating with my friends.
Other people.
Yes, I wasn't collaborating with my friends or my classmates. Some of my classmates and I are supposed to be closer than we are now. We did 4 years together. But we're not friends. We're just people who wish each other well. Right? And it cost me that. It cost me that relationship that we could possibly have because I was just focused on one thing.
First class.
Yes.
All right. So thank you very much. We've shared a lot of things, how you got into school, how you achieved, tips that I think students should actually know about and should actually pursue. I never ever thought of, setting questions for yourself, using the library to access questions and all of that. So thank you very much. We'll see you in the next episode.